Our tale begins, more or less in the magical realm of Faerun, or more specifically, in the prominent seaside city of Neverwinter, a grand metropolis tucked into the landscape just south of the Spine Mountains and warmed annually by the hot Neverwinter River that runs through its heart. Situated in Faerun's northern coastal region known as the Sword Coast, Neverwinter draws all sorts of tradespeople, scholars, and perhaps most notably, adventurers. The bustling city facilitates all kinds of work, mostly savory in character, and it's no surprise that two errant wanderers happened upon a job together at the well-reputed Ox and Wagon Inn. This is where our heroes, Brik Birdsbane and Erma met and were retained by the dwarf Gudrun Rockseeker to escort a modest shipment of goods from Neverwinter to the quiet town of Phandalin. Now Phandalin, once famous, generations gone for a long-lost arcane mine, has over the ages become little more than a word scratched into an ignored signpost on the road between Neverwinter and Tribor, south of the Neverwinter Wood. It's the kind of place that, if one could consider famous at all, is famous for nothing but its own lack of notoriety. While it's true that laden wagons give occasion for trouble on any road, this was a tired trail where protections were ceremony more than necessity, and that meant an easy job with easy pay. So naturally, our heroes accepted, and Brik and Ermaly set out together the day after Gudrun to bring along his wagon of goods with the instructions to deliver them in person to a shop called Barthen's Provisions upon arrival in Phandalin. For 3 days, the duo went on without incident, but after leaving the main road and taking the path proposed by that neglected signpost, they discovered something troubling upon the road. A dead horse waited on the trail, and on approaching, the wagon was set upon by an ambush of goblins. Thankfully, our heroes proved much hardier than the attackers had suspected, and the assault was broken up, its lone survivor fleeing into the woods. Never once to leave a job unfinished, Brik and Erma gave chase. They quickly found and dispatched the runner, but unearthed in the nearby wood a secret cave and hints from the fallen horse that Gudrun may have fallen victim to the ambush and been taken captive. Thinking it best to rescue their employer, our heroes resolved to brave the cave, but before heading in, they decided it would be best to secure their wagon. Steering it carefully just off the road, they hid it and laid a trap inside it for protection. But while making these preparations, they discovered the cargo was not all that it had seemed. Armor and weaponry fit for a company of dwarves had been hidden inside the otherwise innocuous sacks of general goods. Thinking it best to restash the equipment and inquire once in Phandalin, our duo left the wagon and journeyed toward the Goblin Cave to find and hopefully save Gudrun Rockseeker. Inside, there was no sign of Gudrun, but the heroes did find another traveler chained in a haphazard prison. Freeing him, they learned that he was Erevan, an elvish monk from the distant Snowbite Monastery, who had been hired as Gudrun's personal escort. Upon his rescue, he helped Brik and Erma clear the Goblin's Cave, and from their bugbear leader, they learned that Gudrun had been captured by a shadowy figure known only as the Black Spider. While neither Goblin nor Bugbear offered any information on who or even what this Black Spider may be, it was suggested that they had recently taken residence and co-opted control of the region's goblin tribes for the express purpose of finding Gudrun, specifically to take from him a map of unknown content. Pairing this information with the weapons in the wagon, Erma and Brik believe that Gudrun may have found a map to the old Phandalin mine, and apparently, word had gotten out to the worst sorts of people, and he was not the only interested party. Having gained all they could from the Goblin Cave, Brik and Ermaly left, parting ways with Erevan, who, with his newly befriended wolf companion Casper, planned to return to Snowbite Monastery and seek counsel with the elders there. A heroic pair thus ventured back to their wagon armed with the knowledge of this rediscovered mine and the hope that they might uncover more to rescue Gudrun. However, as they returned, a new surprise awaited them, as for at their wagon was yet another traveler, Votto, who had been caught in the trap prudently set to protect their goods. He admitted that he had hoped to take enough to feed himself on the way to Phandalin, where he planned to meet a wizard, Arnault, who had once set wards to protect his hometown of Gavany. When the wards had begun to fail, and undead horrors had begun creeping from the woods that threatened the town, Votto began his journey and was nearly there before being caught in the wagon where Brik and Erma found him. Setting the minor disagreement over ownership aside, they all agreed that they would travel together, and so completed their trek to Phandalin. Once there, they were met by a startling change in the sleepy provincial town. A gang of ruffians, the Red Band bandits, had taken it over and manned the entry, demanding a toll in exchange for passage. Thinking it best to draw as little attention as possible, the heroes paid the toll and quietly made their way into town, where they deposited their goods at Barthen's provisions. Barthen, obviously unhappy with the town's predicament, informed the heroes as best he could on what had been going on. Indeed, he confirmed, rumor was that Gudrun had uncovered the mine, and that he had sent for his cousins in Tribor to dispatch a troop of dwarves to help him find it and secure it. He must have been expecting some trouble, as evidenced by the covert armaments, but obviously not of exactly the kind that came his way, because before the dwarves had made it there, the Red Band gang had descended upon the town and arrested the dwarves the very moment they arrived. They were now held in captivity, and one of the more outspoken townsfolk had even been killed, along with his family, when his home burned down in a fire of dubious origin. And so it was that most of Phandalin was quietly suffering beneath the Red Brand rule, fearful of retaliation. But Barthen knew that none were pleased, and had hoped that Gudrun's return would mean a formal resistance, but his capture obviously proved that that was not to be the case. Spending further time among the townsfolk, the heroes learn that Phandalin has been in the grip of several major events in recent months. The Red Band most notably, but since their seizing of the town, a mysterious wizard called Glassstaff had appeared to lead them, and a banker from the Sword Coast political capital, Waterdeep, had appeared to begin manning a small-scale miners' exchange, a suspicious operation considering the news of the Phandalin mine was yet only a rumor. None had heard, hide, nor tell of anyone named the Black Spider, nor seen Gudrun since his trip to Neverwinter, but the mayor with whom he had worked had drawn some ire given his passivity in the face of the Red Brand takeover, and so our heroes decided it best to begin by inquiring with the mayor, named Wester, as to what was going on. After an explosive entrance past Old Betty, Wester's receptionist, the trio found Wester preparing for his re-election and less than eager to get any more townsfolk killed. He regretted the Red Band's presence as much as anyone, but felt, without Gudrun or his two brothers Nundro and Thardan, who had long served as Wester's aide around the town, that he could just not possibly muster the muscle to break the Red Band's siege of Phandalin. So far from any major city, he was not sure what he might do, but suspected his letters would be intercepted anyways, and thus pose a greater risk than benefit. He suggested the heroes seek out Thalia, the banker behind the new miners' exchange, because the Red Bands did not bother her, and he had a feeling she might have surviving ties with Waterdeep that could be used to call for military assistance to their town. And so the heroes sought out Thalia, and upon approaching the miners' exchange, discovered exactly why the Red Bands did not bother her, for patrolling her residence were several Centurion constructs, hulking automatonics that would have proven formidable adversaries to any small-time outfit of fighters. When asked about the constructs, Thalia explained that she had brought them entirely for labor, but they could certainly pack a punch, and she even had plans to assault the main Red Band hideout if only the wizard, Glassstaff, could be taken care of. Unfortunately, she told the heroes, his magic kept unwanted guests out of the main gates, and shut her constructs down on contact, so as long as his wards remained, she could not possibly make any kind of attack on the Red Band headquarters. She advised the heroes that the dwarves were kept there and suspected if Gudrun had been taken somewhere in all of this, that it was probably there. She implored the heroes, slay the wizard, drop the wards, and let her make an attack upon the hideout with her constructs and thus break the Red Band siege of Phandalin. So charged, the trio set off to find a way into the hideout, enlisting the help of a local child. Brik, Votto, and Erma snuck into the castle by a secret tunnel in the adjacent apple orchard. They quietly made their way into the hideout's basement, and after dispatching a surprised orc guard, discovered the imprisoned dwarves. Gudrun was not among them, but they promised to help fight should they be broken out of the prison, but for that, they needed the key that was kept by the wizard in the highest tower. Making their way stealthily through the keep, the heroes discovered several illusions of the wizard's work and eventually were at the doorway to his tower. Bursting in, Brik triggered a ward and was momentarily trapped, but it turned out that this wizard was none other than Arnold, the same wizard whom Votto sought. He advised the heroes that he was there, posing as a Red Band leader in an attempt to uncover the Black Spider who had, as they had with the local goblins, co-opted the ruffians to take over the town to gain access to Gudrun, the map, and the mine. It was unfortunate, he explained. that the spider was so careful, because it forced Arnold to play his part as convincingly as he could, even starting the fire that had killed the local family. But he knew that if he wanted to give the town any lasting hope of peace, the spider, not just the red bands or the goblins, had to be dealt with. But that wasn't all. Arnold went on to share that he did not have much time, as a grotesque sickness was creeping through his body from a curse that had rooted in his hand. That curse, he explained while decidedly omitting any mention of its origin, was likely the cause of the failing wards in Gavany. Hoping the heroes might be able to complete the task he'd set himself, Arnold charged them to save Gudrun, whom he knew was held captive in a hideout tucked into the nearby mountains. And hopefully with him, they could make a move toward apprehending this mysterious black spider. Erma, Brik, and Votto naturally agreed. And so the trio were sent directly to the hideout center by Arnold's magic. The heroes took a page from the old wizard's book and posed as initiates to the Red Band gang while scoping out the room. It was large and packed with mining equipment, including barrels of blasting powder, but most notably of all was the jail cell in its corner, which held, at long last, Gudrun Rockseeker. After some quick thinking and staging an explosive ruse, our heroes broke him out and escaped on the coattails of Arnold's spell back to Phandalin. However, as Arnold had predicted of his wards, so too his teleportation magic showed signs of weakening, and instead of being sent back to his tower, they appeared in the town square, thankfully in the dead of night. Gudrun told them that they needed to ride at morning to the mine, which he knew was secreted away in the foothills of the nearby Sword Mountains, and so they stayed the night at the local inn. At morning, they were gifted a mysterious parcel, Arnold's glass staff, which he said by accompanying letter was to be used should the heroes encounter a monstrous enigma in the cave. Unsure of what that might mean, Erma was given charge of protection of the staff, and the group set out, led by Gudrun, for the mine and the arcane well at its heart, which had been lost inside a cavern called Wave Echo Cave. Sneaking Gudrun past the guards and fleeing town, the team arrived at Wave Echo Cave without any incident, but at its mouth they were attacked by a resident owlbear, a fearsome amalgamation of bird and beast that the team managed to dispatch. But Gudrun, in the battle, was sorely wounded, and so had to wait outside while our heroes journeyed on. But before they went, he warned them that the black spider, who even Gudrun had not met, was almost certainly in that cave, and most certainly had his brothers Thardan and Nundro captive, or worse. Indeed, it was not long until the heroes uncovered Thardan, slain by hideous poison wounds in an abandoned camp within the cave. While his wounds were telling of some grisly end, his remains yielded no further clues, and so, leaving him, they journeyed on. Further in Wave Echo Cave, the team discovered an underground river and a boat piloted by a magical construct. They got on, and while wandering down the watery path, they were attacked by a group of bats that Erma sent scattering with a magical light spell. They weren't out of the woods yet, however, as just when the bats were sent away, the crew came upon a waterfall that tumbled into a vast underground lake. Although they tried to save the boat and its automatic pilot, it went over the falls while the trio were just lucky enough to escape to shore. The lake in Wave Echo Cave was immense, and above its heart hung a single, glittering stalactite, which fed single drops of water into the lake. The drops were obviously energized with the arcane power of the cave, for as they met the lake below, each drop caused a tremendous swell of water which surged across the surface and filled the cave with its namesake echoes of crashing waves. While journeying closer, the group discovered a hostile jelly. The beast proved no match for our heroes, and as the crew promptly slew it, they spotted in the distance a mysterious company of figures. A single drow elf, flanked with two bugbears, who all together were just ducking into a tunnel at the end of the cave. Our heroes gave chase, and after traveling many twisting paths, found what looked to be the center of the mining operation inside Wave Echo Cave. There were barrels of blasting powder, and notably a hapless gnome named Boots, captured in an enormous web. Boots exhibited eccentricity high by even gnomish standards, and on being questioned by our heroes, admitted he was there seeking treasure when he was set upon by a rogue magic user. The magician had tied him up on this giant web and left him, presumably, to die. Deciding it best to save him, the trio cut him down and journeyed on to where Boots had said the heaviest mining was taking place. Upon following the path, the heroes came upon a great vault door of dwarven make, clearly the entry to the invaluable arcane well. Jubilation was cut short, however, as before this monstrous door were the bodies of 2 recently slaughtered bugbears, likely the very same bugbears seen at the distance at the lake, but there was no sign of the drow. Approaching warily, the heroes were met by an ancient automaton centurion who, although decrepit with ages of disuse, sprang to life and attacked. It was evidenced by that this was the monster who had slain the bugbears, and our heroes scrambled to defeat it. Between a round of savage blows and deft dodges around the Centurion's steam hammer, our heroes reduced the machine to spare parts, and the day appeared to be won. But it was then, when this dreadful guardian had been defeated, that Boots revealed his true identity. Unleashing a blistering surprise attack and summoning to his side a pair of enormous arachnids, Boots showed that he was none other than the elusive and devious mastermind, the Black Spider. Quick to jump back into action, Erma attempted to keep the mad wizard at bay, while Votto and Brik engaged the spiders. While the battle raged, Gudrun's second brother Nundro appeared from beneath the bugbears where he had been pinned, and Boots quickly fell upon him, cutting off his hand for unknown reasons. With her attention torn between saving Nundro from his wound and fighting Boots, Erma was knocked senseless in the fight, but not before dealing grievous harm to Boots. When it became obvious that its master was wounded, the surviving spider attempted to flee with him, but Brik and Votto quickly cut it down, and Brik took captive the unconscious black spider. Wary now of Boots' wily ways, Brik carefully secured him with cords upon cords of rope, while Votto took stock of the wizard's inventory, and Erma, once resuscitated, took custody of his spellcasting focus, which, naturally, were his boots. In his inventory, the heroes found several curiosities, including pages upon pages of nearly incoherent, rambling notes, several herbs, many of which were recognizable as intoxicants, a bottle of dirt, and a human skull. Thus, having taken stock of their situation, the team tended to a dazed but recovering Nundro and prepared to open the vault. While being bandaged, Nundro revealed that the mine and vault of the Tart had once belonged to an ancient rockseeker, and as such required a rockseeker's touch to open. This was likely why, he reasoned, Boots had taken such keen interest in the brothers, and before attempting this flight, had severed his hand. Our heroes, of course, applied far less coercive tactics, and, helping Nundro to the door, were overjoyed to see that his presumptions had been correct, and with a touch, the vault was opened. Inside, the heroes hoped to find the legendary arcane well, but, well, indeed it was there. They discovered something else. Something strange. A monstrous invertebrate, like a slug, was wrapped around the arcane well, and horribly appeared to be leeching the magic from it. Rushing in to stave it off, the heroes were slowed when, along its glistening flesh, the monster showed curious portents of destruction. Never one to be so easily cowed, Brik charged the beast and extended several hundred tentacles with uncanny speed to meet our hero, but just in time, Erma reached out with Arnold's glass staff, and on contact, the thing was suddenly sucked inside it and sealed away in a violent torrent of wind and magic. Having cleansed the magic flame and subdued the black spider, our heroes re-emerged from Wave Echo Cave, where Gudrun was happily reunited with Nundro, while the pair less happily went about the grim work of recovering Thardan's body. They did not go alone, or without aid, however, as at the entrance alongside Gudrun were assembled a trio of Griffin Knights from Waterdeep, led by the paladin, Roland. Roland explained that they had been summoned by Thalia to break the Black Spider's reign of terror, and were jubilant to hear he had been apprehended. With his shadow sure to pass from Phandalin, and the mine a promise of great prosperity to come, Roland was eager to report the success to Waterdeep and help establish a firmer line between the major cities of Sword Coast and the sure-to-be-reopened mine once again. Returning to town, our heroes saw that Phandalin had been set free of Redband control. Journeying further, they saw that all the town was gathered in the square to witness the election day that had begun unfolding. The candidates, the incumbent Wester and challenger Thalia, were in a heated debate for the mayoral position. While they listened, our heroes learned that in their absence, Arnold had succumbed to the curse, and as such, Thalia's constructs were able to make a full assault on the Red Band hideout and rescue the captive dwarves. With no support from their leading wizard, and under attack from within by vengeful dwarves, and without by devastating constructs, the Red Bands had no choice but to hightail it out of town. Thalia, resultantly, had risen to the status of a local hero, and with ire at Wester running high because of his passivity during the Red Band siege, she was giving him quite the run for his money. While the Rockseekers, a loyal bunch, of course still supported Wester, being his longtime aides, the other dwarves had entirely thrown their support to Thalia for obvious reasons, and the townsfolk themselves seemed nearly split. It was decided that the heroes of the day, Brik, Votto, and Erma, would decide the tie, and in a 2-to-1 vote, it was determined that Thalia should take the position. And so it was that our heroes saved Phandalin, but with the Black Spider yet to stand trial, and the creature in the vault posing more questions than answers, there's much more their heroes have yet to discover.